Like it changed. We re-encrypted it.
Hey,
We did a.
we did it.
All right. From 10 miles away.
Yeah,
If that.
I know. Oh goodness. We
That's
don't
that
need what?
that's that pandemic life.
Yes. Sorry, I've got like 100 things. There we go. Just making sure that we're actually here
Yeah.
and so that I can see everything. And then I'll post it on socials. And then we're ready.
Ooh.
Yay. Okay.
I'm adding it to my timeline. I still have my Facebook locked down from a crazy person that shall not be named.
Oh my.
We can talk about that offline.
Okay.
It's several years, honestly. It probably doesn't matter anymore, but yeah, it was just
Oh man.
yeah. So
Cool.
neat.
So, do I get okay. I have 2 concurrent viewers, which I think one is my boyfriend Eric. Hello.
Hi, Eric. Yeah, I am not viewing it.
Okay.
I didn't want to do anything to break the Matrix.
Yeah.
I'm older than you, Caitlin. So the Matrix was this movie.
I've seen The Matrix. I did, however, not see The Matrix till I was like 28. So
The Matrix bothered me when I left the theater. Like I was like outside of the theater after the first time seeing it, like touching my arm and like until I ate food, which they addressed in the movie was totally fake. But once I ate food after the movie, I was like, all right, I feel like I'm real again.
I had a dream. I assume this is a dream because it was so real to me. But I had a dream when I was a child that I went into a movie theater and that maybe I somehow accidentally walked into the Matrix, like playing in a theater, because my dream is that it was like the Truman Show. It was like my life was being played on the screen.
Mm-hmm.
And I realized that nothing was real. And I woke up from that and I never was able to shake that. Feel like it's, it's like 25 years later or something. And I still have this like question in my head. I'm like, is this really real? Because that dream felt so lifelike.
Yeah. Every time I have deja vu, I'm just like glitching the Matrix.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Which they made a joke in the second season of Flight of the Conchords, but I was right there with them. I was like, I think that too. But yeah, it would be I mean, there's been some theories running around that we're living in a simulation and the simulation has a virus, which is why the world has a virus.
We had a virus a long time ago because things have been messed up for a while.
Yeah. It's just further and further corrupting the simulation. So
Mm-hmm.
and it finally got to Elon Musk yesterday, apparently. Not to get too political, but
Yeah.
which really is not me being political. I just think he's silly, regardless of whatever viewpoint he's putting out.
Is it political to, I mean, he's not a political figure.
No, but he tweeted just in all caps, "Free America now."
Oh, okay. Okay.
So like he was making, I feel like that's a political statement
Yeah.
to a certain extent.
Yeah.
Which his right to do so, but it was just a little bit silly.
Yeah. Paul says hi.
Hi, Paul.
It's like late at night where Paul is. And he says, Flight of the Conchords, awesome.
Yes. I've been rewatching it. We'll talk about it later, but like revisiting things that I love, it's like comfort food in the time of pandemic, but in the form of entertainment. So
Let's see. I guess we could start. I think pretty much this is a loosey goosey time, but I wanted to just generally talk about being creative because Joey, well, if you don't know, Joey and I are coworkers and friends too. We're friends in real life. So we're both very creative people. We both work making videos, and we've had a lot of time to sort of discuss how we're trying to stay creative during this time, how it's been difficult, what we feel like we've done well at. And so I thought it'd be cool to get together and talk about that, because I know that it's a struggle that everyone is probably having right now.
Yeah, I was joking with my fiance a couple nights ago on the phone that, like, they're talking about opening things up and there's going to be this instant reaction of like, oh no, I didn't write my memoirs and I didn't learn French and I didn't rebuild that. I didn't renovate my bathroom and all the things I said I was going to do now that I have more time to be at home. Like I just watch stuff on Netflix. But this is a good week for us to talk about this too, because even though we work together and we work on a lot of similar projects, I think this is the first time in the 3 years we've worked together where we were doing the same project almost at the same time. Like we were
Mm-hmm.
each doing pretty much the same type of video, same concept. We work for a university and we're doing virtual graduation. So I did a video for the undergraduates that was like a senior salute from the faculty, and Caitlin did one for the graduate programs, which is technically like our home-based team. And so it was really interesting because we have not done a project side by side where we were each doing the same thing. So like having a creative decompression now that those have essentially been approved
Mm-hmm.
and are off to get captioned and posted is I think an appropriate time to
Yes.
kind of check in on this.
Yeah, that is, I guess I should start by saying that is in part why there isn't a new video this week. I filmed a really fun one over the weekend and it'll be out next Thursday. But I spent like after work on Monday editing for about an hour. And then I was like, I can't, it's one of those projects that requires more editing because it's cool. And I was like, I can't edit for 8 hours a day on this project that I'm already stressed on and then edit more for YouTube. And one of my goals in coming back and starting making videos again, like earlier than I'd sort of planned during this like quarantine time, is that I was going to be kinder to myself. And so, yeah, the I had the idea to do this sort of live stream because I realized that with Zoom, I was pretty sure you could, use it as encoding software, and you can. And so I was like, wait a second. So it all came together in like a day and a half.
Yeah, and we essentially had to become Zoom experts when all this happened anyway. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, I got thrown into it through the online program that I work on at our jobs, but I've never really been formally trained in it other than just learning from other people who have taught it to our students. But, you know, um, you and I spent like a week making tutorials on this is how to use Zoom, this is how to upload to YouTube, this is how to build a playlist,
Mm-hmm.
and so we both had to kind of very quickly figure out how to not only utilize our expertise and enhance it, but spin it into a way where we could share it with others as well.
Mm-hmm.
So it's been an interesting time, and that's why the graduation video was so stressful. I mean, 2 weeks ago we weren't doing anything, and then or 3 weeks ago, and then they decided to do this website that we could build, and then we had an idea to build our own website, and then it got involved into this, and it just kept spinning around, and
Yeah. From
and
the
I mean,
time.
yeah, it came out really well, but like this was a quick turnaround project, especially with no one able to be in the same room.
Mm-hmm.
Like
Mm-hmm.
everything was filmed remotely over Zoom or over people's phones and all sent to us remotely, and we were able to put it together. But it was nice to have you doing the same thing because we could bounce ideas off of each other. We could create consistency, but make sure there was differences, like we used different music and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So it was a good process and it was a good test. But yeah, I didn't want to do my freelance stuff this week. Like I did not want to be sitting in front of Premiere or After Effects
Yeah.
for the rest of the week.
Pretty much, I would edit through the workday, and then 5 o'clock would hit, and I would go turn on Animal Crossing and play
Mm-hmm.
that. I was like, I'm just gonna make a little island. This is much better. Um, Kayvon55 says, hello. Hello, Kayvon55.
All right, Kayvon
Thank you for
55. What's up?
joining us. Oh, there was something you said, and now I've forgotten. Well, I
Is it
guess
the thing
what?
about like spinning our expertise very quickly?
No. It went out of
I
my
know.
head.
I say so many great things. I mean, and I also don't know when to shut up. So it
Oh, wait, I
happens.
do know. Did you intend to have a hidden Mickey?
No. Oh,
So,
wow. Look at that. That's really cool.
if you don't know, Joey is a big Disney fan. I mean, I guess I
Big
am
Disney
too,
fan.
but I would say Joey's a much bigger Disney fan than me.
That's all
But
because of my friend Paul. He took me to Disneyland in 2016, which, mind you, wasn't that long ago. You know, so I'm like 35 years old going to Disney for the first time, and I am just like, I am all in on this place. But yeah, no, I did not intend on that. And
yeah,
now
I guess
I'm going to
maybe
be obsessed
because,
with lining my head up the whole rest of this
oh
stream.
no, I should have just let it go and then
No,
afterward.
it's fine. That's really
um,
cool though.
yeah, I guess we've both lifted our laptops up a little bit. Tip
Hmm.
if you are, you know, doing webcam stuff, get a box and put your laptop up higher because most desks end up with the camera like kind of underneath your chin, which is not flattering. Um,
Yeah, mine's sitting on a Nike box.
mhm.
So.
All right. Well, we have 4 concurrent viewers, so
All
let's
right.
dive in because it's 6:12. First up, let's talk about sort of our initial reactions or responses to the, you know, we, yeah, just the pandemic, COVID-19. It can be creatively or just life, how it's, shown or influenced what's happened creatively since then.
Well, it's kind of interesting because I feel like, for me, like especially with like what we do at work, um, we kind of pivoted away from creating and we kind of moved into this training, maintenance, sort of getting everybody up and online and ready to go. And because so much of that is very like video and sort of AV heavy, it's in our wheelhouse. It's not exactly what we do, but between the skills we have and how, the stuff we can learn on the fly, like we were able to make a good contribution and help. So we kind of stopped creating
Mm-hmm.
and sort of moved into that role. And then personally, I mean, it's interesting. I was supposed to go to California in February, and Melinda and I decided that I shouldn't make the trip because it was going to be too close to the Lunar New Year and that I might be crossing paths with people that had been to China recently, less concerned about the seriousness of the virus overall, but more just in the fact that more people might be traveling to the place where the virus lives because it didn't exist here yet. It was very similar to these other avian flu, et cetera, where even if it came here, it was very minor. And then a month later, it was just bananas.
Mm-hmm.
And everything just was, we're going home. You're not, and then a week after that, it's like, don't leave your house. And
Mm-hmm.
yeah, so it was a little kooky. And I was actually homesick for a couple of days and I felt like I had this really bad stomach flu. And, I was kind of knocked out for 2 days. And I feel like when I kind of came back up for air, it was very real in the United States. And I was like, did I Rip Van Winkle this? Like, did I sleep for like 3 weeks and it got way, way worse?
Mm-hmm.
So it was a bit alarming, to say the least, but thankfully we were already kind of equipped to keep going in some ways.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah.
Yeah, I guess about a year of this time or in April or so of last year is when we got laptops and sort of transitioned to being able to work from home if we needed to. And I'm really glad that we did that because it made this transition just pretty much seamless, I would say, for me. Like we were used to kind of working off of smaller hard drives and bringing home what we needed versus like lugging home the giant hard drive that we use at work.
Yeah.
So that was maybe the only difference, I would say.
Yeah, and for me too, like being at home, in some ways, like it slowed life down quite a bit. Like I had pivoted to doing a lot of freelance work for other folks that was mostly editing and graphics based anyway.
Mm-hmm.
But you're not going out, you're not doing a whole lot. And so, I had gotten when the iPhone 11 came out, I kind of jumped on that as the ability to film what I felt like was really high quality video mobily And then for my birthday / Christmas, which my birthday's Christmas Eve, I got the Mavic Mini. So I had been thinking about doing something with just smaller devices, smaller cameras. That's where the small scale cinema thing came from. But I hadn't really taken the leap yet. So when we got sent home, I was just like, okay, now is the time. Like, this will be something where I can occupy myself. And I would shoot stuff even if I shot it during the week because I wanted to shoot it at a certain time of day to be outside, or because the light was better in my apartment. You know, I would save it and I would be like, cool, I'm going to edit this on Saturday, I'm going to post it on Sunday, and that will like help me occupy my time and do something productive, and almost schedule it in that way, which is hard to do because if you shoot something you're excited about, like, you want to jump in the edit bay and start putting it together right away. But I was trying to be responsible and dole out my activities because I didn't want to get into that rut where I was just like, all right, I'm working now, I'm on the couch and watching TV, and I just do that every day, and get tired of that and get bored. So yeah, so that was one of the upsides to this. You know, is it opened up that window for me to start doing that. Now we've gotten busier at work. I've had a few other deadlines outside of work. So I feel like I've gotten away from creating as much at home, but it's something I definitely want to get back to, you know,
Yeah,
after I kind of take a break this week.
Yeah. I would say, like, honestly, I was a little jealous of you starting out because I felt like I was sort of like reeling and didn't know what to do. And I was like, Joey's doing this cool stuff, which, I mean, it was inspiring too. I was like, oh, it helped me in deciding that I should start making videos again because, and I'll link him in the description of this video. I should have done that earlier because he has a channel that he started. It's called Small Scale Cinema. Because he has like the iPhone 11 Pro and the little drone, and but you made like the salsa video, and what was the other?
The one, my coffee.
The coffee one, yeah. Just sort of like these process videos of doing things. And one thing that I'd been doing starting out being at home was I was baking a lot more. Like I was trying to bake like on Saturday mornings. And so I was like, oh, I should film myself baking something. Still haven't done that, but I did buy stuff recently to make these like rainbow sprinkle donuts. And so I think I'm going to film the process of that and
that'll be fun.
One of the videos.
Yeah, that'll be really good. And that'll be good, like, color too, to pop, because everybody's taking pictures of them breaking their bread. And don't get me wrong, like, I like to cook, but baking is less my forte. Like, I'm definitely more abstract with, I mean, pinch of this, pinch of that. Whereas, you know, baking is it's chemistry, you know, it's an exact science, and it just is not, I mean, I've, it's fine. It's just not something that I've done a ton of. But yeah, but it's also fun too, like sort of the challenge of it, you know, like it's talking a little bit more, not to keep plugging my own channel, plug, but you know, like, as you know, like we watch these videos and we drool over gear. Like, we were drooling over the Canon stuff that was announced last week, but it's like, it's $10,000 for the base of that C500 Mark II or C300 Mark II. And then you add lenses to it and it gets up to like $30,000-$40,000. Like, I probably won't touch that camera on somebody else's shoot if they have it. You know, it's not the thing we're going to do. But the person who has that camera could probably go out and do a shoot and say, I wish I had this lens. I wish I had this piece of gear. So I think everybody who works in a creative field in production is used to wishing they had more and really having to push what they have. And so, you know, as I've watched the gap of the only high-end production cameras you could get were $50,000-$60,000 to where you could shoot, you know, cinema quality, you know, film festival worthy DSLR video, and that gap just closes, where what you can do from a quality standpoint and what you can afford has closed. That's gotten even smaller now with the phones, and then the gimbal for the phone, and this little drone. So that was what I still have my GH4 and I will still use that and shoot with that from time to time. But I really just wanted to see, like, what can I do? Like, how far can I push this? Like, you know, these things are shooting log, they're pushing 24 frames a second. The drone doesn't shoot log, but you can flatten the profile a little bit. And they did just add some manual video controls, which I'm excited to try once I can actually go outside with it. You know, but just little stuff like that, buying the Loom Cube lights, or I actually got the old Alonzi version of that.
Mhm.
But, you know, and just pushing things with that gear, and also just having one small bag of equipment to go out with.
Yeah.
You
It's
know, but
definitely more accessible now. A lot of what you just said may sound very technical to some of my viewers, but so that isn't
Sorry.
to put you off.
Sorry, I gotta stop doing that.
But yeah, it's a lot more accessible now to everyone, even for like people who are like pure amateurs. Things like price wise, and also like the ability to learn, like it's simpler to learn how to use a lot of these things, and there's, you know, apps and software and things that are just making it. I guess a good example might be like, I use Adobe Premiere Pro for my editing, but they also have Adobe Premiere Rush now, which is intended for like online video creation. It's set up so that you can easily go straight from there to YouTube or Facebook. I wanted to say Instagram, but I don't think that you could do that. So I won't make claims. I don't know.
Yeah, no, it's great. And we went to a really good talk at VidCon last year, RIP VidCon this year, but hopefully next year. But yeah, we went to a really great talk on it, and you and I both walked out of there being like, there are projects that I should be doing in Rush. Like, I don't need to be doing some of these simpler projects in Premiere, and it gives you the features you need. It strips away controls you probably don't want to worry about if based on your turnaround time. But then the Premiere Rush project will pull directly into Premiere if you really want to get technical and really tweak something with those more fine-tuned tools. So yeah, it's pretty impressive. But yeah, the apps are great. And I mean, there are people doing super creative stuff with not the best phones on Instagram. I mean, like TikTok is a little bit, I haven't jumped into it a ton because I feel like I'm maybe not the target demographic for TikTok, but like the stuff that gets shared around, I'm just like, people are doing like cool in-camera edits and really creative stuff, and they're maximizing the potential of the platform and the equipment. And I mean, that's how I learned. I mean, I shot on SVHS stuff, and we did those like goofy, you know, sort of videos, but no one ever saw them. And now like people get to see them. And I feel like watching other people do cool things, no matter what level, experience, platform, like is always a good like igniter for creativity.
That might, I was going to do this question later, but I feel like it seamlessly moves into it. What has been like, what content have you been enjoying or inspired by during the pandemic?
Well, it's interesting because like I stumbled upon Daniel Schiffer. He's kind of known for just shooting like sick B-roll, and he's got some nice cameras and some nice lighting, and he does a lot of like almost like product video, not necessarily product, but like, you know, he'll shoot like, you know, donuts, and he'll do really cool stuff with them on like cool backgrounds and things like that. And, you know, Peter McKinnon, I learned about him from Schiffer, or learned about Schiffer from McKinnon, but you know, they were both really cool. And I was like, yeah, that is cool. Like, can I do this stuff at home? And like, it'd be fun to kind of capture it and see like how I could push myself. I think when I made my salsa video, I showed you like, I used my little Manfrotto tripod and I gaff taped it to the bottom of my cabinet so I could have the top down shot where I was like chopping stuff up. And it's just kind of fun to like see how they push what they have and shoot this really high end stuff. But from an entertainment standpoint, I've been going back and rewatching a lot of things that I already just love because it's almost like comfort food. So
Yeah, I started laughing because I was reading the chat, and well, I'm only going to tell you this because I think it's funny now. Well, someone said that you were a tech nerd,
yeah,
and so then it went on to be someone else. Tech nerds rock. Eric is like, tech nerds are hot. So
it's a little inappropriate, Eric. I mean, Caitlin's right here, but
I think that might have been about me, but I don't know.
Oh, that makes more sense. Yeah, that makes more sense. No, I'm a total tech nerd. I will be the first to to wear that badge.
Yeah.
With pride and shame.
Well, I was gonna text it, but I can say it because this is my live stream. You should always have a tech nerd friend because they know they can always help you out. They can tell you what gear to get, because you are always the person that I go to when I am like, I don't know what I'm doing about this. Please recommend. And you usually know something that I don't. And
yeah,
can
and you're
send
the
me at least
person
in
I
the
go
right
to like
direction.
yeah, and you're the person I go to like for After Effects stuff, and like for a lot of like I get really inspired by like what you're doing. And like when we were working on this project, I think you were a little bit frustrated with some of the elements we were using, and I was like thinking to myself, I was like, maybe this isn't as frustrating for me because I don't think I use After Effects properly. I think I just use After Effects how I've learned how to use it.
Mm-hmm.
So like to go in and like break something apart and tweak it and try to make an element my own, I
Mm-hmm.
feel like is just sort of like I'll just clumsily like fumble my way through that. But you have this like knowledge of like, no, this is not how it should be done. And so
Yeah.
it didn't frustrate me at all because
true.
I'm just like, I don't really know how to do this right anyway. So
Yeah, I learned very honestly how to sort of set up After Effects projects from my old boss and friend Devin, who would he could go through and take a template apart and put it back together again. And so I learned from the best, and those that we were working with this week were crazy.
A little bit. They were not what they were intended for, but we really stretched them. So yeah. Yeah, that's good.
Let's see.
What about you? What have you been watching
content.
for inspiration and stuff?
So at the start, I've been watching Zoe's Extraordinary Playlist on NBC, which is like a musical show. And she essentially is in an MRI and there's an earthquake, and suddenly people's inner thoughts become songs sung to her. Very weird premise. I watched the pilot being like, this is strange, but maybe it'll be okay. I don't really watch a lot of musical shows. Actually, I don't think I've ever really watched a musical TV show. But it is a show that just has like a lot of heart because it's like her dad has this debilitating illness. And so then it's like he sings to her. So it's this way that he can communicate with her. This is all stuff that's in the pilot. So I'm not really spoiling anything for you. But it's just a very different kind of show that's both and also takes, I guess I'm very inspired by story most of the time. And that's something that I felt like it was turning certain stories on their head in some ways, and using character development in just differently than you might think. There's like a love triangle and there's like, the hard ass boss and stuff, but it works out in a way that you're not expecting it to.
Yeah, and I think if you're doing musicals, like having a little bit kind of sort of having those like more typical characters and then just enhancing their personality, like I think that works. That sounds interesting. So
yeah, I recommend if you are a musical person, or just like it's got a rom-com-y feel maybe, but also comedy.
I've become
I don't know,
obsessed
everything.
with the movie Rocket Man, like the Elton John story with Taron Egerton playing Elton John, because they basically wrote a musical but they wrote it knowing they were making it into a movie, so they can use all of the cinema tricks and the nice, big budget, Hollywood type production value to create these really interesting scenes, changes and transitions and elements. And so I've been sort of obsessed with it because from a production standpoint, the way they put it together, it's not like they're going to adapt the Heights to a film. Like they kind of made it a musical with the intention of shooting it as a film. And so I think it benefits from that. And I'm just I've watched it at least 4 times since quarantine has started. So
wow.
Yeah.
I want to give a shout out to David Parkinson, because I'll say they because I don't know your gender, just found the channel. So you're new. Hello, welcome, David. And they also say, I want to be a tech nerd. That was their first comment. So
sweet.
Getting in on the conversation.
I'll try not to delve too tech nerdy into it, but you know, I get excited. You
I
know
think
me.
that's
I
okay.
send you links all the time and like, oh my gosh, Caitlin, look at this thing. Half the time you're probably like, that's cool, but
I mean, I feel like I'm that way about like YouTube and internet things.
Mhm.
I feel like I do the same thing. Always send you like a tube filter story where I'm like, this is fascinating.
Oh yeah, I subscribe. You know, like you sent me a couple of them and I was like, I
Mhm.
should be reading this regularly. So yeah,
Yeah.
it's good stuff.
All right, let's move on to another question. Did we talk about like anything that you did on purpose? Like having more time, something that you specifically were like, let's try here.
I think, you know, just like when I decided to start the channel
Mhm.
and I did intentionally, I went out and bought some gear. Like I did my first contactless pickup, curbside pickup experience was going to Best Buy to get the microphone that I had been wanting
Mhm.
to buy for a while. And I wanted to get a Gorilla Pod because I knew I was
Mhm.
going to need to rig some shots up to do some of the things I wanted to do. And I was like, you can't be a YouTuber without a Gorilla Pod. I mean, that's just what I've seen on the internet,
Yeah.
but not really. But I do love it and I'm enjoying it. I'm using it for my light right now and it's super convenient.
Mhm.
But yeah, so I went out and purchased some gear and kind of made a list of some things I wanted to do. And then some of those ideas have been doused because we were home from work, but we weren't locked down yet.
Yeah.
Like we hadn't gotten the stay-at-home order from like the state government.
Mhm.
So some of my ideas have been put on hold, but I'm hoping to, like I said, kind of take the weekend and then next week jump back into making some content for myself.
Mhm.
What about you? Anything intentional?
Um, I mean, I guess I started doing YouTube videos again. Maybe creatively, I was like, I'm gonna do some crafts that I have had sitting here for a while and have not been doing. I I mean, I talk about this in the channel, but I always have this excuse of like, I don't have the time. And it really is in some ways that I'm not making the time. Um, uh, it's not really going around as much anymore, but there, you know, the sort of meme where somebody was like, if you don't come out of this pandemic quarantine without, you know, a new body and like all these things done that you said you were going to do, then, you know, it's all your fault kind of thing,
Mm-hmm.
which is super negative. And I
It's
don't
awful.
ascribe to that thought
I'm gonna come out
process.
with a new body, all right. Keep eating all these snacks.
Yeah. Um, and so I've been trying not to beat myself up in that way, but um, one of the things that I guess I would get frustrated with is when I was going into the office, I would be like, man, I wish I could work from home because then, you know, when something's rendering, I could just go do this crafty thing. So I've been trying to actually do that. Like last Friday, when I was sort of doing a lot of small projects that would have to render and I'd have like downtime between them, I would just go over to my little craft desk, which is over there, and like paint a line, and then that would have to dry. And so then I could come back and do something else. And that was actually a really nice way to work. Now I can't do that all the time. Um, but it something like that, I feel like I want to take advantage of more during this time. Um,
Yeah, yeah, no, I think that's great. That's something like I've been trying to read more. I was powering through this. I mean, it was a good book, but I read this Robin Williams biography by Dave Itzkoff, but it was very I mean, it was creatively written and entertaining, but it was somewhat academic in how dense it was. I mean, he didn't miss a detail that I mean, he quoted movie reviews for just about every movie he was in. I mean, you really leave it knowing a lot about his life. So yeah, so I need to figure out what I'm going to read next. I definitely wanted to make sure I kept my reading list going.
mm-hmm.
um, so I've got a couple books on my Kindle, but we'll see. But there is something to be said too about like I feel like especially at the beginning I was like I don't want to watch anything sad. Like I think we joked about like rewatched The Martian and I was like maybe I shouldn't have watched a movie about a guy like stuck on Mars by himself for like however many years it was, like right as I begin like being isolating at home,
That's true.
for who knows how long. Um,
I'm like the opposite. I think that first weekend I watched what was the movie? All the Bright Places, which is a pretty
mhm.
sad film. And then I watched The Farewell. So I was like that's how I process though. I'm like, I'm going to watch some sad things and cry, and then I'll
Kind of
be
like push you
okay.
into that space. Yeah.
Yeah. It helps me, I guess, push through and then all the way over, hopefully.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and just getting organized. I think you and I both talked about it like within the same week. I think we both were like, once they told us we were going to be home through June, and now we might be home through the whole summer.
Mm-hmm.
It was just sort of like, all right, I'm going to get my desk organized. I'm going to
Mm-hmm.
wire everything up so my workspace is a little more efficient, because you come home one day and you're not going back to the office for at least a month, and you just sort of throw a hard drive here and have wires running everywhere. And
Mm-hmm.
so like getting the workspace organized so that it flows, and it's just a lot easier just to come in and open the laptop and say, all right, I'm working now. And I think I might be in a better routine than when I was going to the office every day.
Mm-hmm.
Like I'm pretty good about like getting up at the same time, making sure I do the shower, just like I'm going to be jumping in the car and leaving.
Yeah.
It is funny though. I put on pants with a button and a zipper tonight, when most of the pants that I was in a meeting with all of our bosses yesterday,
Mm-hmm.
rocking the sweatpants and a t-shirt. So
At least you had pants on. So
yes, unlike that one reporter who wore a shirt, tie, and jacket, but was wearing like gym shorts.
Oh man.
And didn't
During
realize how
the
wide of an angle it had. So
That's like webinar or webcam 101. Like how do you mess that up? And be
yeah.
on national TV. Yeah, I've been doing pretty good on wearing like normal clothes. I think I guess it was Wednesday. I had like a Walmart pickup during the day, and so I changed clothes after that because everything had touched what I was wearing. But I was like really tired. Just it's exhausting, even though I didn't even go to the store. Just the bringing all the groceries inside and wiping them down and putting everything away, and then having to completely change clothes. I was like, I don't want to put on real clothes again. So I put on like a dress shirt, but then I just wore like these like jogger sweatpants under, which it kind of looked like, no, I mean, no one was going to see, but we had a whole like school-wide meeting, which I was like, I'm breaking the rules.
yeah. I mean, so that's been just having a routine is a good thing, I think. And but yeah, I second the going out thing. Like it's such a privilege to still be able to do it, and I'm so thankful that everyone I know is healthy. We're still working, I mean, there's some furlough talks, but I think from what we've heard, we're probably okay right now, because if anything, more stuff's going to have to go online to save money.
Yeah.
Or we're going to have to offer like hybrid things, so that's good. But it is a stressful thing, like I the first couple times I had to go to the grocery store, I couldn't sleep the night before. And it's such a weird thing to experience. And we've joked about this before in our own conversations, but like cringing now when people shake hands or hug on TV. Like in a movie that was shot 10 years ago. I'm just like, you shouldn't be doing, because like it's already in our heads, like 6 feet, social distancing, all those things. And so, yeah. And I touch my face a lot. Like my nose always itches. And I'm like, I notice it more now, but we're also staring at ourselves a lot more because we're on Zoom calls. So
true. Yeah. We'll jump back to the chat for a second because Paul had 2 comments. One that he's saying he needs to drag out some of his like ancient gear so that he's not spending the entire lockdown sitting in front of a screen, and like needing to do repairs, which I wanted to say I have found myself pulling out gear that I hadn't been using, but because like I was home and couldn't use gear from work, or just I was like I wanted to try something new. I've been doing the same thing, and as a tech nerd, you sort of acquire a lot of stuff and you don't always want to get rid of it because you're like, well, I could use it sometime. like, oh, I can give an example. I'm not using my light right now, but I have this light that has to be duct taped because the hot shoe doesn't work. But for the first time, I was like, what if I put it on this little tripod? And then it was the perfect height behind my webcam or computer so that I could light my face if I was talking to people at night. So that was...
Yeah, I mean, and the stuff that I bought, I actually, a lot of what I already had, I've utilized. Like I have an old GoPro Hero 5 that I've got back out and started using again. So Paul, I highly recommend that because it's like we talked about. I mean, you have the Canon 60D. I had it until my memory card reader broke and it was more expensive to fix it than, you know, what it would have. I could have put that $350 towards the GH4, which I ultimately did. Which is an old camera now compared to what everything else that's out. But yeah, I mean, but like I've used like, you know, my old little Manfrotto tripod. I'm using it right now for my microphone. And it was really funny because I sold my Switch, which you'd think you'd keep in the middle of a quarantine. But like when I got it, I loved it. I played the heck out of it. Like I blew through all the games I wanted to play. And I realized that it just kind of sat there. And even when a game was coming out, I would be like, oh, I could spend $60 on a game, or I could put $60 towards gear. And then a buddy of mine just texts me out of the blue and is like, I can't find Switches anywhere. And I've been really trying to buy one for the pandemic. And I was like, I'm going to give you a really good deal. I'm going to sell you everything on it, you know, fair to you, fair to me. And then that's what I reinvested that money in the equipment that, you know, to put towards the channel. But yeah, I'm a big believer in taking that older gear. I mean, people are still shooting stuff with 60Ds that are getting into Sundance.
Wow.
So, I mean, it's still a
that
good
makes me
camera.
feel better.
Oh no, it's a great camera. I love that camera. So
yeah. I actually was trying to, well, not trying to, my friend Alana, I don't know if she's watching or not, but we were talking over the weekend about Switches because she's not really a video game girl, as what she called it. But she was thinking of like something during the pandemic that she and her boyfriend could play. And so I was like, you should get a Switch. So I was telling her she needs to find a deal like what, you know, you gave someone where someone's selling it with several games and everything, because it's great. It's really fun. Oh
yeah, like I said, I love man. I was wondering when this was going to happen,
but I think he's getting down.
Oh man,
Finn almost made an appearance. So you saw his tail. That's all you get.
He's still really mad that you took the Bluetooth headphones away from him before we started streaming. So.
He wanted to be a part of the podcast, and I said no.
Yeah, that's something you've been doing too. I mean, Animal Crossing, I know it's not necessarily creativity in the format we've been talking about, but yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I'm still in the part of the game where it's less creative, I would say. I'm also sort of regretting choices that I made in terms of setting up people's like villagers' houses and stuff, because I just didn't know. It's a weird game, and then it doesn't really give you much instruction. It just sort of like will suddenly give you something, and they're like, go do with it what you will. And you're like, oh, that's how I should have done this thing. But I have enjoyed like everybody's content on Twitter and TikTok and YouTube of what they have been doing. And it's like, there's hope for me yet.
I played a couple of the other versions, and I kind of joked that I was like, Tom Nook's not going to swindle me again. I'm not getting the new one. But it looks super fun. And I think it's been couldn't have been the more perfect, like calming, relaxing video game experience. Like it's apparently crushed numbers for Nintendo. But yeah, I've enjoyed.
I think it was going to crush numbers to begin with, and then this is sort of the perfect environment for a game like this. So
yeah, it is a way to get away to a much more like peaceful, playful place. So it's really good ability to disconnect. But yeah, I've played enough of it to know, like I've been sort of lived vicariously. Like even the stuff you sent me, like some of the screen caps you sent me, I'm just like, man, this is great. Like I just am enjoying other people having fun with it because I understand enough of, you know, what the concept is. So there's the train right on time. I live very close to a train track, so.
You're by the train, I'm by the airport.
Yeah.
All the places that we can't go.
That was a big selling point when I moved here, was I was like, you know, I have a fire department one block that way. I have, you know, the Richmond Ambulance Authority another block the other way. And then, you know, I don't know how the train plays into that, but it's there. So if I ever become a hobo, it's right there. So
Run and grab on.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's see. I've got about like 15 minutes left. So a couple more questions. Talked about that. Oh yeah. What do you still not have time for?
That's an interesting one. I thought my place would be cleaner.
Yeah, me too.
Like I've done a pretty good job of like cleaning, but like I'm still like just piling up my dirty clothes in the chair in my bedroom. I'm sure everybody does that, but I thought like, "Oh, I'll be home all the time. I'll be on top of laundry. I'll be, always straightening stuff up. Like the cleaning the counters, the stove, the dishes, like all the essentials I'm on top of. But yeah, I'm still not doing a lot of that. But even in the last couple of weeks, like I haven't made a video for myself. And so and that's a choice. I'm choosing to do other things to relax as opposed to working on something else. But Patton Oswalt talked about this in one of his books that I read. But I think he talked about how he'd been writing for a lot of other people and was doing some like bit acting on shows and in writers' rooms. And stand up was what he really wanted to be doing, and that he was giving the best of his creativity to other people, and he just didn't have as much in the tank for himself when it came time to like book shows or write his own stand-up. And he knew that if he was really going to make a run at that and get the specials and play the bigger venues, he would have to really give up some of those other jobs and work towards that. And so I think that I'm not saying this like I'm complaining. I'm, like I said, I'm happy to be doing the work I've been doing. It's been enjoyable, but it has just been like, when I have the choice of like, all right, I've been at this computer for 8 hours. Do I want to go eat dinner and sit here for another 4 hours? Or would I rather jump on a FaceTime with somebody, play some video games, watch a movie, go ride my bike? So I've been making choices to really not create that content, and so I'd like to have made more stuff by now, but haven't.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Paul says if you do too much cleaning and tidying, then you discover you can't find anything. I would say that actually is probably a little bit true, at least for me.
Yeah.
I'm always like reorganizing things, and then I'm like, wait, where did I put everything?
Yeah.
I'm right at the cusp of doing a whole new reorganization of this office again. I shouldn't do it, but I'm like, I think it could be better. So let's do it.
So are you doing it from a function and work standpoint? Because I feel like from your production standpoint, like all your backdrops and shooting areas are really solid.
This will all stay the same. Really, the problem is I have too many clothes. And so I want a better way to use them or put them places. So yeah, and I don't have any. The other thing is I live in a very old apartment, and so there's no storage space. There's like one closet that all my clothes has to go in, and that they don't even fit in. And so then anything that's just sort of like junk or like storage just is currently just sitting in a corner in my den, and I don't like that. So I'm always trying to find a new way to reorganize that. And so that's it's just me. Whatever I can physically move myself will be moved.
Oh yeah. Marcus Brownlee is another guy I watch. I mean, he shoots with like unbelievable camera. I mean, he does the tech vlog, but he's moving into a new studio right now. So he's having to move like all this big stuff and doesn't have a whole lot of help because you can't be around folks. And I've been watching him figure out creative ways to move his office furniture on his Instagram, by himself because he is.
Oh my gosh.
Is there a fin attack happening?
Yeah, he's under my feet, and I was thinking of trying to bring him up here. Come here. Say hello to the internet.
Hi, Finn.
Look at the birds.
You look like you're really excited to be here.
Some kitty ASMR. Can you hear anything? No.
A little bit.
All right. That was one of our lessons from my 30 things in 30 years. You don't hold a cat longer than they want to be held.
Yeah.
So 10 seconds maybe?
That was good. Yeah, that was a good time. I do miss flying this guy because I'm trying to honor my little baby drone, which I love. I'm trying to honor my stay-at-home order and only go outside when I'm either taking a walk or riding my bike or driving to the store. I mean, in all honesty, I could very well go to some park or some secluded area. I mean, there's even parking lots for empty businesses around me that I could probably go park in and fly it. It would be fine. It wouldn't be hurting anybody, but I'm trying to just, I'm a rule follower, I guess, to a certain extent. So I'm just trying to honor the, you know, I don't want to have that conversation, you know, with someone being like, you're not supposed to be here, or, you know, this isn't an essential activity. And so, you know, just trying to honor the process and flatten the curve how I can. But I am looking forward to getting back outside. But I did turn it on and fly it in my house today.
Yes. Are you going to do that for us tonight?
I could. It's
we've got a few minutes left.
It's a little scary, but I'm going to do it.
Well, I'll mute you if it's too loud. But
yeah, there we go. Shout out to Alvin from Flight Path too. He's a really good drone YouTube channel. He's taught me so much about this. And I mean, that's one thing the Mavic Mini is great for, is flying inside, because you can turn the GPS thing off and fly it around inside. And it's so small, but you still have pretty good precise control. So
I guess I've not really seen, you haven't flown that like when I've been with you, right? I don't think so.
I don't think so. I took it out for work once and I'm having trouble unlocking my phone.
My only experience like with the drone in person, and where I got to like fly it a little and then I crashed it, was like a friend of mine. And this was maybe 4 or 5 years ago. So the technology wasn't as great, I suppose, for what he was able to afford. And just, it was so tenuous, and I felt like I was going to wreck it at any touch, at any moment. But I feel like you've not really, before this, you had not really flown a drone before, right?
Yeah, I had the GoPro drone. Anybody who knows me has probably heard me tell this sad story, but I loved it. Like, I bought it at my last job before I was with, you know, the university where we're at now. And it was really cool because it was the Hero 5. It was a handheld gimbal that locked into the drone itself, a bag to carry everything in, a place to clip the gimbal onto the bag. GoPro really crushed it with that idea, with the exception of some of them had batteries falling out of the sky. And yeah, I don't know if I'm going to be able to do it, Kayla. My phone's is not being very nice to me, but
sad. Well, I can send them to your drone video so you can see what it can do, at least.
Yeah. That's really weird.
Oh, sadness.
I'm going to reboot my phone, and if it reboots in time, I'll give it a shot.
Yeah.
But
well, I mean, we can technically stay here as long as we want, but
yeah.
Just trying to do an hour just for our sakes, and so I can go eat dinner.
yeah. We never had I never had any issues with the GoPro drone. And I found it to be really efficient, and it was a great all-in-one. I mean, DJI's got the sensor stuff down and the camera stuff down so well, but yeah, they recalled it, and I think it took them so long to fix it and get it back out on the market that the technology had kind of left them behind at that point. You know, I think like the smaller Mavics were out, and yeah, and it's done. I mean, I was so excited about that project. I was ready to buy stock in GoPro. Like, I was really into it. And I was in New York for NAB New York, the National Association of Broadcasters conference. And I got the email and it was election night. It was 2016. I got the email like the day after the election that my drone was being recalled. I was just like, oh man.
Wow.
Yeah, I was like, well, I had a good 2 weeks with it.
That's a bummer. Was there anything else that we didn't talk about? I mean, you don't have my list of questions. We sort of covered a lot of things. Things you've learned. Time management kind of fits in there. I guess we mostly covered everything. Mm. This is when it runs into the computer and the stream stops and yes, nice. That's so cool.
It is blowing stuff all over my apartment.
Strong air power.
Whoa.
Oh no.
It blew the sheet off the light. All right, I'm gonna try to land it in my hand.
Can you do it? Oh, yeah.
Just
Sorry
like,
for the crazy audio, guys.
It's just like Alvin taught me. Sorry about that. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, it
so cool.
flips and it shoots you know, the remote controls freaking out. But yeah, and it's super compact, super fun. Still not as cool as Finn, but it's pretty cool. So
He decided to come back for a second.
and like in playing into the kid in heart, it's like a transformer.
That's very cool.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy because when it's all folded up,
whoa.
I mean, it's not any bigger than my phone. If you like compare it to like my phone case, like it kind of eclipses it.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, this is my case and my moment case with my filters for my camera. Pretty low price investment to try that out, and it really did make a difference. So just some of the fun little toys.
Yeah.
I bought a new battery. I bought a second battery for the drone because they finally came back into stock the morning that Adorama emailed me. I was like, yes, please. And DJI makes a little cover now that sort of goes over these propellers with like a little silicone piece and then has a little strap to hold these in place. So tech nerd alert again.
You missed Finn trying to jump out of my arm and just about strangling himself on this cord. That, yeah.
I'm kind of glad I missed that.
Yeah,
That's
I know.
sad.
Everyone else probably saw it though. I saved him though. He's fine.
Yeah. But no, I say keep pushing yourself. I mean, that's what I'm trying to do. But also don't beat yourself up. Like you really helped me out when we were talking about starting up a channel because I knew I wanted to be consistent. But one of the things that we talked about was like not feeling defeated or putting a lot of pressure on yourself if you don't get to make the video every week like you want to, or you don't have time to do the video you want to do that week. Yeah. And so that's been a good approach for me because like I want to build a robust channel and I've got like a list of at least 15 ideas in my phone of things I want to do, but just finding the time to do them and when the conditions allow us to do some of them. So
yeah, that's my biggest piece of advice is like YouTube and content creation can be such a rat race that if you want to start making content because you want to be creative, to not worry about the perfect upload schedule, or, it being like a perfect video every time, but to just do it as a practice. And when you practice and are like a creative skill, it's not going to be perfect. And some things are going to take longer than others. I started YouTube feeling in that like you got to do it this way, and it's all about being like I did it because I wanted to, but I had the kind of YouTube spokespeople behind me being like, do these things and you'll be successful. And I've been doing
it's got to be weekly and this topic and these types of thumbnails and
and this will be the 9th year this July that I've been making videos.
That's impressive.
So, and I'm not any crazy successful YouTuber, and it's because I haven't always followed the rules, and that's okay for me because I do this because it's gotten me jobs. It's made me a better editor and artist. And so when I get back to those like core things and I'm having fun, then this is what I like doing.
Yeah. I mean, the first video I did on my channel was more for me to play with my gimbal
Mhm.
and to mess with that. And I learned a lesson about putting too much counterweight on it, and I felt like it was a little swimmy, with some of its movements, but I was fine with it. Like I still put the video out and uploaded it because it taught me something about technique. And
Mhm.
I used, when I produced radio shows, when I did a podcast, when I do live TV productions, if I ever do the perfect thing, I'll stop doing it because I will. And I've never done. I'm still doing it now. I'm going to be 40 this year, and I'm still making videos and still doing audio stuff. And yeah, so to me, that's part of the fun of it is that you might do something that you love, but I don't think you ever, like I guess in a sport, like you can go win the medal, you can win the trophy, and I guess in video you can too, but it's so abstract and every project is so different that you never really see the finish line. You just kind of tick the next box and then try the new thing you want to try.
Yeah, I think that's some good advice to end on. I do want to um, Paul was commenting about wanting to get a drone someday. I can you recommend, well, like what's the price range for the Mavic Mini?
So
And because you would recommend that, correct?
yeah, I love it. I mean, I got it as a gift, so I was very fortunate. I mean, the joke was sort of when Mel gave it to me was like, this is your birthday, Christmas, Easter, Valentine's Day, Flag Day, St. Patrick's Day, 4th of July present. And I couldn't believe that she bought it. But what I love about this one is that this is the hobbyist drone. Like they intentionally made it 249 grams. You do not have to register it with the FAA. Now, if you're going to fly it as a professional and be paid, you do still need to get a license, but using it as a hobbyist, you don't need the light on it. There's a lot less restrictions, and because it can do such little damage. Now, the price point is $400. Like it's not cheap, but the quality of picture, the quality of video that comes off of it is unbelievable. It's fast, it's sturdy, it's got a 30-minute flight time. Like it's definitely a good entry level in the DJI family. Like they just released the Mavic Air 2, and it's phenomenal compared to this as far as quality, but it's the $800 drone, and
Mm.
I'm not going to pay $800 for
Mhm.
a drone because I'm not to that point yet, where if I were a commercial pilot, it'd be different if that were how I'm making my living. But
Yeah.
for me to have fun with it, it's a great, tool. But there's also some other good options for some smaller drones that you can like, they make sort of a hobbyist drone that's more for like quick flying and competing and stuff. And those are even cheaper. And that might be something just to play with and try out just to see if you're comfortable. Like it has a camera on it,
Mhm.
it's not necessarily for cinematic quality, but it's a much lower price point to try it out.
Yeah. Yeah,
So
it seemed like he was concerned about, buying a cheap piece of junk. So
no,
that
the
I
Mavic Mini
always
is a quality piece of equipment.
Mhm.
Like I'm really like, not to plug the channel, but I did, I just shot. I mean, you were laughing at me when I sent you the link to that drone video because you were like, you just did like a commercial for your car. And I was like, I just wanted to fly it around. It was like all just random clips from the first month that I had it.
Mhm.
And so yeah, but no, for price point and quality, I think it is a real sweet spot. And you can do a lot to get really cinematic. And they just updated the firmware and totally gave all the filmmaker controls you would want, like shutter, frame rate. You get manual white balance now. So yeah, before all you could do was lock the exposure level, and that was still good. But now you can do everything you'd want to do with a regular camera. So
Mhm.
yeah, for price point and quality, it is probably the best entry level
Yeah.
place to come in.
Yeah. He commented $400 isn't bad for a usable drone, which I would also say. Like if you want to get into flying a drone, if you're going to spend, it makes more sense to spend $400 and have something that, and I mean, it's not just you, there's other people you can watch reviews of who would say that it's a good drone, versus you spend $200 and maybe on something that doesn't have good or any reviews or something, and then it falls out of the sky. So
yeah, then there's just not a whole lot in the market that at that price point for quality. Like everything seemed to start at like 600, 800 and above, which is that's a huge thing
yeah.
to buy.
Mhm.
you know, just to try it out.
Mhm.
And so, and I mean, I know some folks rent things, and I don't know if you can, I don't think you can do that with drones because of the whole FAA registration. But if you
Yeah.
know someone who has one, you know, obviously, you know, you can get some pointers from them. But yeah, I think it's great. And what blew me away about it too is the picture quality. It's only a 16 megapixel photo, but the level of detail in the photos that come off of it for the camera size that it has and the sensor size that it has, I didn't think I would be using it for photography as much as I do. And that's something that I really enjoyed. And I thought I'd be shooting just video with it. And I've started taking more pictures with it. You know,
That's
like
cool.
I want to take it out at night and do long exposure stuff with it.
Yeah.
So, you know, I haven't had the chance to do that yet, but yeah, so it really, it's kind of back to that theory we were talking about at the beginning of like taking the thing that has these limitations, but you can just push that quality and almost like not really proving people wrong, but just showing that like this tool can stand up to the other tool and you don't have to spend $1,200 to get a quality image.
Mhm.
So
Definitely. Well, this has been really fun. Thanks
yeah, this was fun. Even
for
though we
last
talked to each
minute.
other all week, this was a blast. So
Yeah. Well, we don't
yeah,
do a lot of talking, like actually, I mean, it's not face to face, but sort of face to face. We mostly talk via like text and stuff like that. And
yeah.
to decompress and not talk about work things is nice.
Yeah. And after like 5:30, it mostly just becomes us texting each other memes.
Yes,
So
it is.
but yeah, this was a blast. Thanks for bringing me on to do this with you. This was really cool. So
Yeah. Well, good. I'm glad. Now
all
comes
right.
the part where we end it.
Don't forget to smash like and subscribe.
You
I
can find
always
me
say
at
that when I'm filming. I film some of Caitlin's videos on the remotes, and I'm always like teasing her about like, you know, don't forget to smash like and subscribe. She won't do that ending. So
You do come up whenever I've had like puns and stuff at Busch Gardens. They're usually from Joey. I'm always like, wait a second, can I use that?
oh, totally, yeah.
Yes. Subscribe, get notifications, follow me on Instagram. Do you have a public Instagram?
I do. I just made it public recently because I realized a lot of people I was probably tagging weren't seeing the tags. But yeah, it's my name's Joey Ellswick, so my Instagram is Gels, but it's a 1 instead of an L. I gotta do a better one. I'll probably change it. So it's the first one I had, and I
when you
haven't messed with
rebrand
it
to
since.
Small Scale Cinema.
Yes.
This has been
So,
great.
yeah.
Check out Joey's videos. If you just search Small Scale Cinema, it should come up, or even just probably just your name, right? You don't have enough subscribers yet to have like a YouTube slash, but I'll also put it in the description.
But
later.
one of the videos I'm planning on making is I have gotten over 10 subscribers, unless some people have dropped off since I last checked. So I'm awaiting my cardboard YouTube play button, which I will be making a video about my cardboard YouTube play button for my 10 subscribers very soon.
Nice.
So, as soon as I get it.
Well, I await that video.
Yeah, that'll be coming. Trust me.
All right, guys. Well, thanks. I'll be back with a video next Thursday, the one that was planned for this Thursday. I'm very excited. It's a makeup video, but it's different than what you might think. It is very fun. Involves a wig. I'm really excited.
Yeah. Oh, I'm there. I'm there for that for sure.
So definitely come back next Thursday. And I'll see you then. Bye.